Are you gonna be filming this entirely on your penis cam? Is that
Pretty much. You can hold it up if you want.
No. It's even shaped like anyway.
Yeah, it's just easier to hold there.
Is that a GoPro or something?
It's like the Garmin's version of the GoPro, pretty much. Action camera, yeah.
A GoPro.
Yeah.
Okay. So we actually had a bunch of people send up questions.
What? That's weird.
I know, right?
And most of them were just like,
do Vegeta! Do Vegeta! Do Vegeta! Well, first things first, why don't you introduce yourself, just in case people...
Anyone out there who may not know.
Where's the microphone on this thing?
It's in the back. You can't.
Oh, it's embedded? Okay, cool. Just making sure that you can hear me okay.
Yeah,
I'm Christopher Sabat. I'm the voice of Vegeta, Piccolo, Yamcha, and other things on Dragon Ball Z. And I'm a voice actor.
And he has a majestic beard.
Majestic. I'm from the Mighty Beard Club.
You gotta give a little stroke. Okay, so first things first, since obviously it's the Banana event, and there were some games that you worked with. What is your favorite of the Dragon Ball Z games? Find the one where you had most fun with.
That's hard. It's hard to say. Because from a production standpoint, it was amazing when we did our very first game, which was just Budokai.
Yeah. This is a game changer for everybody.
It was definitely. But then once they got to like Budokai 3, they were really onto something. Budokai 3 was just an epic game. And I might be one of the few people that actually like the Tenkaichi games.
That's the next question I'll ask you. Do you like Tenkaichi better or Budokai?
I was never, I didn't grow up playing a lot of the 2D kind of fighting games. So those games never really interested me as much, but I loved the first time where they took it out of that locked camera to something where you can fly around. And it felt to me like the Tenkaichi 2, for instance, felt like an aerial combat game as much as it was a fighting game, which is pretty cool. And I think Xenoverse has a lot of that quality to it as well.
So it's funny we're talking about Tenkaichi because me and Thundershot
I'm Austin.
Nice to meet you.
We just spoke to one of the producers. We'll possibly bring back Tenkaichi 3, like the HD re-release of it.
That would be incredible.
You would like that.
Oh God!
So
yes.
I want you to look in that camera and say, "Why not Namco? We want this."
Bandai Namco, we want this. We want the game. Give us Tenkaichi 3, or else we will revolt.
Perfect. So we're gonna take a step back and just ask about your voice acting.
Okay.
What is it that got you into it?
Man, when I was a kid, I didn't even know what voice acting was. I didn't even understand the concept that somebody actually was doing the voices for these things. And there was no internet back then, so I couldn't necessarily look it up or see some sort of video about it. To me, like the Smurfs just had their own voices. I mean, they came with voices. I watched it, it was a show, and they had voices. I didn't think much about it. But oddly enough, I got most of my experience in voice acting from the telephone, because unlike you guys, we didn't have any ability to know who we were talking to on the telephone. There was no such thing as caller ID. We had one thing that eventually came out that was called Star 69. And it sounds like a perverted sex move, but
I grew up in that era.
So before Star 69, I could do whatever I wanted to. So I would end up just prank calling people all the time. Just open up the phone book, just calling people and prank calling. Just really stupid stuff that I thought was really funny in 7th and 6th grade. Like, oh, is your refrigerator running? Like, yes. Like, you better go catch it, seal. And then when Star 69 came about, I would still kept up the pranking, and if people would call me back, I'd always go, hello, and they'd say, yes. Somebody just prank called me from this phone number. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was probably my son. He's been going through a hard time lately, and he's just been acting out a little bit. I'll make sure I give him a good beating. And they're like, no, that's fine. That's fine. It's cool. So I never knew I wanted to be a voice actor, but the voice I have now is, oddly enough, almost the voice I had when I was in 6th grade. Between 6th and 7th grade, my voice drastically changed from like this wee tiny little high voice to the voice I have now. It scared the crap out of my mom when I came down and said, hey mom, listen to my voice. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it, so I ended up going to music school, and I was an opera major for a little while. And my first year in opera school at University of North Texas, they were like, okay, so here's the things you really shouldn't do. You shouldn't go out late. You really shouldn't talk loudly or drink a lot of soda or smoke cigarettes or do anything fun, really. And that's when I realized, oh, this is not what I want to do at all. And then on the other hand, I saw, like, I had what I imagined in my mind was like DJs' lives were like. I'm like, I want a life like a radio DJ. And so many people told me to get in the radio. I'm like, I'm gonna go do that. So I went to go study radio, television, film. I got to be a DJ for a while. Realized there wasn't as much cocaine as I thought there was, and then I realized that radio really wasn't even as fun as I imagined it to be. I always thought radio was this thing where you got online, you got to say whatever you wanted to, dude. But by the time I got there, radios had been regulated quite a bit, so you just read what was on a card. And it was around then that somebody that I knew was working for this tiny little company that had 4 employees. It was called Funimation Productions. And she said, hey, we're working on this Japanese show called Dragon Ball.
That was their first project.
Yeah, and they cast me on that, and then everything sort of blew up from there. And it was really working on Dragon Ball was some of my first actual voice, like, character work. The only other character work I'd done before that was just on commercials for radio stations and stuff like that. So I kind of was birthed into this whole industry in the most dramatic way. Because everything else after Dragon Ball Z has been really easy.
Yeah.
Really easy.
The question I have for you then is, how did you end up voicing everybody?
Okay, there's a story behind that. Because some people are like, dude, why did you cast yourself as everything? So let me kind of frame this. When I first started working for Dragon Ball Z, for Funimation on Dragon Ball Z, nobody knew that it was going to be successful. And in fact, Funimation was just a tiny company, and they didn't have a lot of money, and Dragon Ball Z wasn't popular. And whereas there's shows like South Park and The Simpsons and stuff where they bring in their expensive actors and they use them all up in like 4 hours and their show's done for that episode or 2. Dragon Ball Z took like a week to dub one episode, a whole week. So imagine having to pay for expensive actors for an entire week as opposed to just 2 to 4 hours. They couldn't afford to do that. In fact, they couldn't even afford to hardly bring people in for 4 hours. So their rates were minuscule. People were getting paid nothing hardly to work on the original Dragon Ball series. And so when they brought me in to cast it, I called up the agencies in town. They're like, no, we're not going to send anyone over there. So I had to put out like ads in the paper. I had to go to like universities and put signs up in there, like they were having a giant casting call. So when we first did all the casting for Dragon Ball, we called in like hundreds, if not 1,000 people to audition for this stuff. But because not a lot of them were actors, just people saw the paper like, I want to be a cartoon guy. We ended up with a lot of weirdos and not that many people. By the time we finished all that, we maybe had 11 people that were on our cast list that we felt that we could trust. So when we were doing the initial casting, my job was to help bring in as many people as possible to mimic the original cast of Dragon Ball, which was Canadian cast, if you guys remember that. So the people who got cast originally were the people who could mimic those voices best. And I was oddly enough a pretty good mimic, and I was closer to a lot of these characters. So when they were pulling out all the names, because granted, I didn't make the final decision, right? I just helped them find all the actors, and I submitted myself where I thought I was applicable. So they go, yeah, we want this guy for Piccolo. I'm like, well, that's me. And they go, oh, well, we want this guy for Vegeta. I'm like, well, that's me too. Like, good, 2 voices, and you're on salary, so that's perfect. And so I think they actually kind of liked the idea that I was just on a low wage to do all this stuff. I was working at, basically a $20,000 a year job, doing all these characters on Dragon Ball and just drawing my voice. But still, even with all that said, I was like, oh wow, I got these voices. I didn't know that 15 years from now, I'd be in this elite penthouse with celebrities everywhere and naked people and stuff talking to you guys. But I had no idea how big Dragon Ball Z. None of us had any idea how much impact Dragon Ball Z would have on pop culture. So I was just sort of in the right place at the right time. And sometimes people go, hey, what's the best way to get into the voice work? I'm like, well, you need to move to a town where you know they're going to open an anime production studio and be the first person there. That's the easiest way to do it.
There you go. Okay, so moving forward.
Okay, let's move forward.
Vegeta is probably your most legendary.
He is awesome. Yep.
If you had to choose between Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan God, which one would you rather want to be?
I'm gonna say, well, it just depends. Like, is Vegeta's Super Saiyan God form just gonna be him skinnier, glowing in red? Because if so, I don't want him to look like that. I hope that if Vegeta goes Super Saiyan God, it'll be something pretty epic. So I definitely want to go Super Saiyan God. My hope is that you know full well that they're releasing another theatrical Dragon Ball feature. My hope is that Vegeta gets to go Super Saiyan God, and my hope is that he gets to go Super Saiyan God and crush Frieza's face.
Yes, that's what everybody.
That's what I really want to happen, because he was robbed of his victory. Like, he was robbed at every point. He was robbed by somebody else. Even his own son got to cut up Frieza into 1,000 bits, and he's just like, oh, I could have done that, but I guess, oh, whatever.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot now. So now
Put me on the spot.
You just crushed Vegeta. What's your victory quote?
Oh God, what's my victory quote?
What would you say to him if you're Vegeta? You just finally got revenge.
Oh man,
you just crushed him.
Let's see. Oh God, what would I say to Freya? Like it would be over at that point. And Vegeta would be cool enough not to actually say anything.
Yeah, he just walk out.
He just turn around and go, "Fuck you." Let's see. I think Vegeta would go like, that was easy.
That's exactly what you probably
yeah, I don't know. I can think of a million things, but really, of all the tragic characters in the series, think about it. He's had the worst tragedy of anyone in that series. Like Goku, I actually don't like Goku as a character. I don't know if that's because I play Vegeta, but I can't stand Goku because nothing bad really has ever happened to him. He's like, oh, I'm dying, but that's okay. Vegeta like had his entire family robbed of him, his whole planet destroyed. His chance of being like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was completely robbed of him too. And then he had to be raised by the person who destroyed all these people, and then have like some dude who just bonked his head in a funky way be stronger than he is. So
and he's still cocky about it.
And now we're back on the camera. Okay, so last question.
Well, this is weird. It feels weird in here right now. Did you guys change cameras or something?
Kind of. Actually, do you know when that cut out?
Halfway through. I think he was finished answering it.
Okay.
Having the big
Okay. I guess the last question I have, and this is another fan submitted question. What is your all-time favorite experience in the Dragon Ball Z universe? What was your all-time favorite moment?
Well, if you had asked me before Battle of Gods came out, I would have told you the point at which Vegeta has decided to go Majin. That's my favorite part of the whole series, where Vegeta gives in to Babidi and becomes evil again just so he can kick Goku's ass. And what's even cooler is that, like, I love that he bonks Goku just over the head and just steps off for a little while and then does something really epic. I mean, that was by far the best part of the series. And then him finally kind of showing any sort of kindness to his son at all. And then, I mean, I think undeniably, I think that's where Dragon Ball peaked. Because between you and me, I felt like the Kid Buu stuff, that stuff that happened after Majin Buu, and even the Super Buu and Kid Buu stuff, it was fine. It just wasn't my favorite part of the series. I felt like it was sort of anticlimactic after that. And I'm hoping that with the next, I'm hoping that GT is just not canon anymore. There's been a lot of talk.
We've been waiting for that to come out, and it's kind of iffy with Battle of Gods. But
yeah, it's kind of unclear You know, who knows? It might not even be Pan in Vidal's stomach. It could be a completely
They
different
did say
kid.
him. They used the phrase him when talking about the child. Now they might not know yet or something like that, but they did use the phrase him when talking about the child.
Was that in the dub?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, we screwed that up. I didn't even think about that.
They call
Like,
it a him, and I'm like, Pan's a girl, but they just might not know yet and default to him, so I don't know how to take that.
wait. What? Do you remember when that was? Because I want to parse that out. Like, I don't remember that. I don't remember
It's
that.
not long at all after it gets revealed by Dende that she has a child inside of her, and Gohan freaks out. He's like, I'm going to be a dad. And then not long after that, they mention someone refers to the child as a him. I don't know that much. It's been a little while since I've seen the movie.
Blame Toriyama.
Oh, maybe she even says, I know he's not even born yet, or
Yeah,
something like
something
that.
like that.
Oh, wow, we really messed that up, didn't we?
Blame Toriyama.
We know it's not even born. Perhaps perhaps Pan, perhaps someone else. Dude, that'd be awesome if it was a dude in there.
Another one?
Okay.
Super Saiyan.
I have another question. So you went to opera school for a while.
Yes.
Can you do like 10 or 20 seconds of opera? For
No,
us?
hell no.
Why not?
I got out of that school for that very reason.
Yeah, there's a
'Cause I'm
reason
not-
he didn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Cool. Well,
Cool.
thank you for taking your time out to talk to us. Any last words? Where can it follow you at? Twitter?
I'm at, I don't know. I'm always, I picked a really clever, like, Twitter handle, and now I can never remember it. Like
Chris _
it's like-
Sabat24.
It's like Chris24_Sab @ or something like that. No, they wouldn't let me use the @ at the end, so it's Chris24Sab Sabat, I think. I don't know. Figure it out. You can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not verified, of course, because Twitter just doesn't have a handle on that.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you. It was awesome.